Part 53. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 544. Second update arrived. Director Chiu is really working hard, and the people who follow her are exhausted, Luo Xiaoxian said and sighed. I heard that her daughter is sick, but she doesn't care. From the perspective of a patient, such a person is quite okay, but as her family, it's so boring. We can just talk to our own people about what you said, but we can't let outsiders hear it, Zhao Qiliang told Luo Xiaoxian with a serious look. Do you really think I'm stupid? Luo Xiaoxian stared at him speechlessly. If I were really as stupid as you said, would Dean Su let me follow her? I was wrong, Zhao Qiliang quickly admitted his mistake. Our assistant Luo doesn't need anyone else to worry about. I just eat carrots here and don't worry. What do you think? Luo Xiaoxian rolled her eyes at him and couldn't help laughing, but to be honest, I never thought that one day I would be able to live like this. I remember that at that time, what Chu Xia and I were most worried about was that when we grew up, we would marry in different villages, and we could only see each other once or twice a year, meet a good man, live smoothly, and meet a good man. Bastard, getting beaten and scolded is commonplace. Zhao Qiliang interrupted him speechlessly. How old did you think this was? Before the age of 16, maybe. Later, after she annoyed me in early summer, she stopped talking to me about these things. Let me tell you, at first, I thought she was stupid because of her illness. In the past, even if she was angry with me, as long as I coaxed her, it would be twice at most. She happily played with me, but that time I coaxed her, but she just said it was okay. But he just wouldn't talk to me or play with me, which scared me to death. It's the year of the monkey, the horse, and the moon. Why are you bringing it up again? Chu Xia looked at her speechlessly. Are you afraid of forgetting the hard days and remembering the bitter days and remembering the sweet ones? Yeah, I'm reminding you, lest you forget the days when we were together. Luo Xiaoxian sighed quietly. In the future, we may not see each other again for a week. Chu Xia smiled evilly. Don't worry. Let alone once a week, even if we meet once a month, I will never forget you, sister-in-law. Glancing quietly at Zhao Qiliang, Luo Xiaoxian rolled her eyes at her and changed the subject. By the way, Chu Xia, the new dean is very old-fashioned. You have to be careful in the future. You worry too much. I'm just an ordinary intern. There are only so many opportunities to deal with the dean. What should I be careful about? However, it doesn't matter if you are old-fashioned. Just don't be biased. I don't know if it's biased or not. Anyway, he seems to have a good relationship with Director Huang, because when I heard him talking to the dean, he mentioned Huang Baoquan several times. Moreover, they are all complimentary. Really? Chu Xia suddenly sat upright. According to what you said, the teacher is really in trouble. After a pause, he continued. However, there is nothing to be afraid of. The teacher must have medical skills, medical ethics, and background. There is nothing to worry about. Dong dong. There are more and more etiquette. Luo Xiaoxian murmured and ran over to open the door, only to find Yamiru standing at the door. She looked at Chu Xia with a smile. Hey, let me tell you something, Zhou Mikang and my family love each other. We have a meeting. I guess I won't be able to make it for a while, so you can go on your own. I know, Chu Xia responded. Thank you for your trouble. I'm kindly telling you, please don't use such a sour tone. Okay. Yamiru not only did not leave, but also pushed Luo Xiaoxian and squeezed in. She looked Zhao Qiliang up and down and smiled. Who are you? Do you care? Luo Xiaoxian rolled her eyes at her. This is my man, please don't move forward, lest you smell the filthy smell on your body. Are you scared? Yamiru smiled proudly, and then her expression changed completely. Luo Xiaoxian, you take yourself too seriously. Do you think I will like such a thing? Who said you like it? I just think you smell bad. It's not like I don't know what you like. Who do I like? Yamiru glanced at Chusia deliberately, then looked at Logoziokshin. Tell me and let me see if your guess is right. Logoziokshin waved her hand. Forget it, you are a pregnant woman. As a kind person, I'd better save some face for you. You don't have to save face for me, really. The relationship between you and Director Huang has been spread throughout the hospital. Why do you have to tell me? Logoziokshin was so excited by her that she actually told the rumors she had heard. Say it again. Yamiru's face suddenly darkened. If you have the ability, just say it again. I'm just going to say it. You will feel ashamed after saying it, but you insist on forcing me to say it. Logoziokshin sighed and looked at Chusia. What should I do? I made a mistake again. Bastard, Yamiru howled and pounced on Logoziokshin. Zhao Qiliang hesitated and quickly blocked Logoziokshin, and was hugged tightly by Yamiru. The other party was a woman and a pregnant woman, and he didn't care. If you dare to push, just stand still, calm down, please calm down, you are twins, if anything happens to the child, you will regret it for the rest of your life. I won't regret it. She must be the one who regrets it, Yamiru said while pushing Zhao Qiliang. Get out of my way. If I don't beat her today, my surname will not be Yet. I would rather share the same name as my child even if I die. I won't let her talk nonsense and slander me. Okay, Chusia yelled. Yamiru, can you stop thinking that no one dares to mess with you just because you have a piece of meat in your belly? If the child in your belly is really killed, do you think the Huang family can spare it? Did you? When you were a child, your grandfather went to our house. When he mentioned you, he was disappointed. If you continue to be so unreasonable, sooner or later, you will regret it. When a person is alive, there must be a goal, and when dealing with someone, there must be a reason. You said you are dazzling me all day long, targeting me. Is that interesting? If you and Zhou Mikang were together and I broke up, then fine, you should take revenge on me and deal with me, because I have done disgusting things that are despised. But in fact, it was you who betrayed Zhou Mikang and you didn't want him. Why can you blame me so confidently? Yamiru, do you think you are justified in treating me like this? Without you, Zhou Mikang would have married me, and I wouldn't be living like this today. Are you still dreaming? Just you, after being with this man and that man, do you think Zhou Mikang can still accept you? Then how stupid is he? He was dumped by a cuckold, and he still waited for Baba's love. To be honest, if he is really like that, you will probably let him go. In fact, you don't love him at all, you are just too possessive. You can do it if you don't want him, but he absolutely cannot want you. Your constant pestering is just to prove this point. Do you think I don't know the purpose of these things? Lin Chuxia, it's useless to say anything. Yamiru's happiness in this life is ruined in your hands. The purpose of my life is to let you pay me what you owe me. Give it back to me, even if it takes me a lifetime to do it, I will not regret it. Also, what I can't do is my son. From the moment he is born, I will tell him who caused him to live such a life without a father. What does it look like to talk lies with red lips and white teeth? I finally saw it. Logoziokshin smacked her lips and shook her head. Yamiru, I just want to ask you, how did you convince yourself to believe this theory? How stupid and selfish do you have to be able to find reasons for yourself so confidently? What does it have to do with you? Yamiru glared at her and smiled brightly at Chusia. I tell you, I'm not angry. It is indeed impossible for me to be with Zhou Mikang now, but I can create something else for him. Just wait for the opportunity, and one day you will feel the same way I do. Are you also a woman? Zhao Qiliang suddenly spoke. It's guaranteed to be a fake. Yamiru smiled at him. Would you like to come over and touch it to verify it? No need to try, I'm afraid of getting my hands dirty. Zhao Qiliang pushed Luo Xiaoqing and stood back. I am Lin Chuxia's cousin. Although I have no power, protecting my sister is what I must do. Son. So, let me tell you something here. If you dare to do anything to hurt my sister, I will risk my life and I will settle the account with you. Now, you can go out. Oh, you're quite a man. Yamiru looked at him and smiled. For the sake of being such a man, I won't make it difficult for you. I'll play with you another day. Goodbye. Before going out, she said. He winked at Luo Xiaoqing. Ha! Luo Xiaoqing chuckled. I have gained experience. I have gained experience. I have doubts. Did she work as a kill girl in her previous life? She's not, but her family has been in this industry before, you know. Oh, Luo Xiaoqing nodded repeatedly. I remember it, I remember it, you told me. Look at my brain, how could I forget this matter? But in early summer, you have to have a good talk with Zhou Mikang and tell him Yamiru's plan so that he will not be fooled and stay away from Huang Sui. Don't say she's not as good looking as you, even if she's a fairy, you can't get close to her. The leader is not that kind of person. Zhao Qiliang hurriedly defended Zhou Mixang. When we were on a mission, the leader's granddaughter went to perform and took a fancy to the leader, but the leader didn't even look at her. Later, one night, the chief's granddaughter went to find him by herself, and what do you think he did? And this matter, why haven't I heard him say it? Chu Xia's focus was not on what Zhou Mikang did, but on the fact that the group leader Tongzi did not report this matter to her. Zhao Qiliang suddenly realized that he was talking too much and quickly smoothed things over. The leader must be afraid that you will worry, otherwise, he would have said it a long time ago. First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 545. One update arrived. Look at how scared you are. Chu Xia rolled her eyes at Zhao Qiliang. Am I such a narrow-minded person? I'm just curious. Brother, please tell me the details, hurry up. Zhao Qiliang looked at her with a troubled expression. Chu Xia, nothing happened. I just said that. I don't know the details. Oh, Chu Xia nodded. I know, then I'd better ask Zhou Mikang directly and let him tell me everything. No, Zhao Qiliang waved his hands anxiously. If you ask the team leader, he will definitely think that I am too talkative. Chu Xia, please don't ask, okay? It's okay not to ask, just tell me. Chu Xia chuckled. Brother Shen, you can ask Xiaoqing how curious I am. If you don't tell me, I will definitely ask Zhou Mi Kang. Either you tell me, or I go find him. Anyway, you choose one of the two. Okay, why don't I tell you what I know? Zhao Qiliang looked helpless. Just some time ago, we had been stationed there for a while, and Vice Chairman Yao of the Military Commission went over to inspect. Then there were also actors from the Beijing Army Song and Dance Troupe. One of them happened to be the granddaughter of Vice Chairman Yao. She fell in love with the troop leader at first sight. She had a very outgoing personality and said it in front of everyone, said he liked the leader. The leader didn't even pay attention to her. At this point, Zhao Qiliang raised his hand to swear. I promise, what I said is completely true. You can ask Zhou Hanliang for verification on this matter. Or you can find someone else, but I don't think it's good to let others know. It's best if you find Zhou Hanliang. Brother, can you stop being so wordy? Chu Xia interrupted him, with a look of dissatisfaction on his face. Don't be so mother-in-law, I'm just curious about this matter, you don't need to explain it to me. Zhao Qiliang smiled bitterly. Chu Xia, looking at you like this, how dare I not explain? Seeing Chu Xia's eyes widening, he said quickly, okay. I won't explain, so I will continue. It's just that the group leader ignored her, so she always wanted to talk to the group leader, but he ignored her every time. Then one night, The night before they were leaving, she went to the group leader's room to find him. As a result, without saying a word, the group leader picked up her collar and threw her out of the house. At that time, several comrades were walking outside and had a clear look, and the matter spread. I heard that the chairman of the military commission also talked to the regiment leader. But we don't know what they were talking about. Anyway, everyone said that Chairman Yao must be dissatisfied with the group leader. That's all I know. Early summer, if you are still curious. Just wait for a while before asking the group leader, don't let him be interrogated as soon as he comes back. He will definitely dislike me, and you don't want me to be disliked, right? Look at how scared you are. Chusia rolled her eyes at him. Brother, why do you seem to be more afraid of him when we go on a mission? He is your brother-in-law, what are you afraid of? It's not fear, it's respect, Zhao Qiliang said sternly. During this period, the regiment leader has been eating, living and training with us. We have seen with our own eyes the regiment leader's abilities in all aspects. All the comrades in arms particularly admire the regiment leader. This is not an empty talk. Really, whether it is physical endurance or strategy, the team leader is definitely someone we look up to, because during this period we have had 2 red-white competitions. Each time, the team leader led a small team, and Joe coached leading a large team of people, but every time the team leader ends up taking over Director Joe's lair. It is natural for men to respect the strong. When talking about what happened next, Zhao Qiliang's expression was filled with excitement. One can imagine how intense the situation was at that time. Okay, brother, don't worry, I won't make it difficult for you. Thinking of the fundamental reason why Zhou Mikang did this, Chu Xia felt inexplicably depressed. That war will never disappear just because of her arrival. Because from all indications, this will happen sooner or later. As long as war is involved, it is inevitably associated with injury and death. For a child who grew up in a peaceful era, and who has seen the cruelty of this war from various readings, she will really have a sense of powerlessness. It was precisely because of this feeling of powerlessness that she told Zhou Mikang everything, hoping to use his help to reduce casualties so that more families would not be in trouble because of this incident. Are you unhappy? Zhao Qiliang misunderstood Chu Xia's meaning. Looking at her expression, he thought she was angry with him. After a moment of hesitation, he said, if you really want to ask, just ask. I'll be fine. Actually, I'm not really afraid that my brother-in-law will have a bad impression of me. I just feel that he is quite tired during this period. It would not be good if he was interrogated by you as soon as he comes back. Brother, no, I just thought that one day you might have to go there and face a war. After a pause, Chu Xia sighed, anyway, just thinking about these, I can't help but feel sad. Zhao Qiliang, if that day comes, remember that although you can't be a deserter, it is still very important to be able to come back completely. You must promise me that no matter what difficulties and dangers you encounter, you will always be there. Don't give up. You have to remember that I, Chu Xia, your parents, and your relatives are all waiting for you. Zhao Qiliang looked at his sister and fiancé helplessly. What are you two doing? We are just going on a mission, not really going to the battlefield. Moreover, depending on the situation, nothing will happen for a while. My comrades have all said that although we all want to serve our country and be men, and the thought of carrying a gun on the battlefield makes our blood boil, no one wants a war. As long as it's a war, there is no real winner. Of course, we don't have the final say on this matter. I'm just telling you what everyone thinks. Don't worry, no one will be willing to die unless it is absolutely necessary. A good man protects his family. The country is responsible. Okay, let's not talk about this anymore. It's nothing, just talk about it as if it's right in front of you. Chu Xia changed the subject. Brother, did you have anything interesting happen over there? What's the fun thing? We train every day. For a while, there was no other color in our eyes except green. When we came back, we all felt like we were in a different world when we arrived in the city. As soon as we arrived at the station, those who were far away from home were busy writing letters, and those who were close to home took leave to go home. Those who had relatives and friends immediately visited their relatives and friends. It seems that only this way can make us feel our own. To exist, to feel a tangible connection between ourselves and the world. Brother. Chu Xia stepped forward and hugged Zhao Qiliang, then pulled Luo Xiaoxiang and hugged each other. She now truly understood the root cause of the changes in Zhou Mikang and Zhao Qiliang's personalities. What are you doing? Jun Daodu looked surprised when he opened the door and saw the three people hugging each other. What game are you playing? I'm finally here. Why are you here now? Luo Xiaoxiang answered the question, with obvious embarrassment on her face. There is something wrong with the director. He held a small meeting for us and has postponed it until now, Jun Daodu said while looking at the faces of several people. What happened? I feel like something is not right with you. No, just talking about the war. The three of us were a little emotional, so we expressed our feelings in this way. Chu Xiaochang stood behind Zhou Hanliang, who was obviously thinner than before, setting off, waving his paw. Director Zhou, okay. Okay. Johan nodded and smiled at Chu Xia. Sister-in-law, how are you too? Hee, look at me standing here, you know it's good. Chu Xia glanced at the time. Let's go and find Zhou Mikang now, and then go home with you. Everyone made an appointment to go to Yun's house together. The Chinese New Year is coming, and this matter must be resolved. Do you really want to go? Jun Daodu shrank back a little uncomfortably. If my mother kicks me out again, will I never be able to go back in this life? You are thinking too seriously. She is your mother. How could she be willing to let you stay outside for the rest of her life? I guess her anger has almost subsided by now. Now that you go back, you are just stepping down for her. Besides, there are a few of us accompanying you, why should you be nervous? Chu Xia pulled her up and walked out. Don't hesitate. You don't have to wait until you find out that you want to support your son. Don't let yourself regret it in the future. It's not as serious as you said. Jun Daodu looked at her with a blank look. My mother is in good health. Okay, I was wrong, but you understand what I mean. The time you spend with your loved ones in this life is only those years, waste less and less. Also, after you get married, you will mostly spend the Chinese New Year at your in-laws' house. Shouldn't you spend more time with them at your in-laws' house before you get married? Your dad has such a good personality, are you willing to let him go all the time? Lieutenant Jun sent someone to take Jun Daodu home, but Jun Daodu refused, saying that she would not go home if her mother did not admit it. Later, Lieutenant Jun came in person and did not pick up Jun Daodu. Go back. From this point of view, Jun Daodu's mother's character is a bit too stubborn. She has obviously regretted it, but she just won't let go. Perhaps, what she wants is a pomp, otherwise, she would not be able to have so many people with her this time. Jun Daodu goes back together. Zhou Hanliang and Jun Daodu admit their mistakes and plead to Jun's mother in front of everyone, which may make her feel proud. With a step up, it is very possible to agree to their relationship. Moreover, after this mission, Zhou Hanliang mentioned that at his age and now at this level, the future is bright, and Jun's mother probably can't find many reasons to refuse. If the reason is based on family background, Zhou Hanliang's support is the Zhou family, which is why Zhou Mikang must go. Several people took a car and arrived at the station. I'm going to see if the team leader has finished his work. Zhou Hanliang got out of the driveway first. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 546. TCH, Chu Xia curled her lips and looked at Luo Xiaoxiang and Jun Daodu. Did you see that they were worried that I would run into them, so they were rushing to report the news and destroy the corpses. The leader is not that kind of person. Zhao Qiliang couldn't help but defend Zhou Mixang again. Go, Chu Xia rolled her eyes at him, you are not my brother, and I don't want to listen to you. Zhao Qiliang had a black line on his face and shook his head with a helpless smile, but he obediently closed his mouth and stopped saying good things for Zhou Mixang. The three people waited in the car for 5 minutes. Zhou Hanliang jogged back, in 10 more minutes, the group leader will be here. He looked at Chu Xia and said, today's meeting is very important, and the group leader has to attend. Did I say anything? Chu Xia gave him a look and asked, can you not always accuse me unjustly? People who don't know think I'm such a little chicken. No, no, Zhou Hanliang hurriedly explained, I was afraid that my sister-in-law would be anxious while waiting, so I explained it. I couldn't even get in. If I hadn't said that my sister-in-law was waiting outside, they wouldn't have told me that the meeting was over. Time. TCH, Chu Xia rolled her eyes and ignored him. Zhou Hanliang looked at Luo Xiaoxiang and Jun Daodu for help. What are you looking at? Jun Daodu glared at him, Chu Xia is not such a narrow-minded person at all. Don't you still know why she is angry? Zhou Hanliang smiled bitterly, sister-in-law, I'm sorry. He glared at Zhao Qiliang, it's all your fault. I thought my sister-in-law was really angry. Brother, when did you make the report? Chu Xia looked at Zhao Qiliang in confusion. They were together from beginning to end, and he and Zhou Hanliang had no chance to be alone. Zhao Qiliang smiled sheepishly and made a few gestures, that's it? The instructor will understand. Chu Xia. She really doesn't want to talk to Zhao Qiliang now. He's her cousin, oh. By the way, it's really not. Someone suddenly discovered that she had become more and more completely integrated into the identity of this era. Half an hour later, Zhou Mikang hurried over, followed by Huang Sui and a male officer. Zhou Hanliang and Zhao Qiliang secretly glanced at Chu Xia at the same time. Chu Xia rolled her eyes speechlessly. How much did she have to say before the jealous impression disappeared from their hearts? Sorry, the meeting started a little late. Zhou Mikang apologized after getting in the car. Turning to look at Zhou Hanliang. Huang Sui and Lin Venhang hitchhiked there. They have something to do with Deputy Jun. Luo Xiaoxiang, who was sitting next to Chu Xia, wanted to get up, but was grabbed by Chu Xia. What are you doing? Captain. She nodded her chin in the direction of Zhou Mixang. Luo Xiaoxiang looked confused. She was actually afraid that Huang Sui would sit with Zhou Mixang. Although she knew that there was nothing between the two of them, as long as she thought that Huang Sui had the chance to become the wife of the Zhou family, she didn't want them to sit together. Chu Xia glared at her angrily. He lowered his voice and warned, do you think they laughed at me lightly? Luo Xiaoxiang stuck out her tongue and sat back, and Jun Daodu teased her, you asked for it, look at me. You have been sitting firmly. When she finished speaking, Zhou Mikang had already got into the car and reached out to touch Chu Xia's head. Sit in the back and let Dr. Huang sit in the front. Huang Sui smiled apologetically at Chu Xia, sorry. It's okay. Chu Xia stood up and moved to the back. Zhou Mikang sat next to her and pointed to the seat next to her. Dr. Lin, come and sit. He was talking about Lin Venhang. Hello, third brother. Chu Xia had never met Lin Venhang, but she knew that he was the child of Uncle Lin's second son, so when he came over, she waved her paw to say hello. Hello, early summer. Lin Venhang smiled politely, how are your uncle and aunt doing lately? Fine. Originally I didn't have to go, but I shamelessly came to the car just to see you, Lin Venhang said and couldn't help but laugh. Don't think third brother is rude, it's the eldest brother who didn't let us find you. He was afraid of falling out of favor. Chu Xia laughed, so third brother, Are you here to steal his favor while the eldest brother is home? Yes, yes, that's right, little cousin, you are so smart, Lin Venhang said, patting Zhou Mikang, brother-in-law, ha ha ha. Chu Xia had a dark hair. When she saw the third brother coming over just now, she thought he was a gentleman and should be very elegant. However, with this string of smiles, his true nature was completely revealed. He and Lin Wenbin were indeed brothers. Moreover, seeing that Lin Venhang and Huang Sui were familiar with each other, she was still worried about whether the other party would reject her. It seemed that she was overly worried. She also suddenly realized that inadvertently, she was still swayed by everyone's worries. Although there was nothing between Huang Sui and Zhou Mixang, she still thought too much because of the previous episode, which was out of control. Zhou Mikang glanced at Lin Venhang, who was staring at him laughing endlessly, and frowned. Why, do you think calling me brother-in-law is a big deal? No, I haven't had the chance to see Chu Xia before. I saw it today, and what I found was no different from what I imagined. I'm happy, really, not just because I can call you brother-in-law, ha ha ha, brother-in-law, don't be too much. Think. Everyone. Is this a way to not let people think too much? Huang Sui turned around and teased Lin Venhang with a smile. Dr. Lin, if your interns see you like this, will they be frightened? It's okay, they won't have a chance to see it, unless Director Huang files a complaint against me, Lin Venhang said and looked at Chu Xia. Director Huang and I are classmates, although I am much older than her. Is 5 years old a lot? Huang Sui shook her head. Seeing you now, I'm really surprised. How have you been pretending for so many years? Chu Xia, do you know what your third brother is like in everyone's hearts? Picture. Everyone has two sides. When third brother is happy to see me, his true nature comes out. It's my sister who understands me. Lin Venhang raised his eyebrows at Huang Sui proudly. This is blood and family ties, do you understand? Don't be so complacent. Chu Xia is because I haven't seen you before. Huang Sui looked at Chu Xia. When you have time, go to Beijing Hospital and see how he works. Then you will understand that what I said is true. Chu Xia nodded. Okay, I will definitely go and take a look when I have the chance. From the moment she met her to the present, she did not find the slightest hostility from Huang Sui, so she simply faced it calmly, no matter whether the other party was repelling her or not. Anyway, now, she couldn't afford to be left behind. Along the way, Lin Venhang chatted with Chu Xia non-stop, while the others became silent listeners. Finally, Chu Xia felt embarrassed and interrupted Lin Venhang. Third brother, today we are here for Director Zhou and Daodu. If you want to go to the Yun family, why don't you discuss their matters first? Okay, okay. Lin Venhang looked at Zhou Hanliang apologetically. I got excited and forgot about your business. I'm sorry, I'll give you a big gift when you get married. It's okay. Zhou Hanliang smiled and shook his head. Actually, we have nothing to discuss. We just came to admit our mistake and hope that my father-in-law and mother-in-law will agree to our marriage. If possible, we hope to get married next year. Then, this year will be Daodu's last spring festival before she gets married. I still hope that she can spend it at home and leave the best memories. Huang Sui answered, although we are here to do business, we will do our best. Thank you. Zhou Hanliang smiled politely at her. Sorry for the trouble, Director Huang. The car arrived at the gate of Yun's house and just stopped. Qiuqiu ran out and stretched her head to look around. When she saw Daodu getting out of the car, she rushed over happily. Daodu. Qiuqiu, have you been waiting for me? June. Daodu hugged her sister, her voice choked with sobs. Qiuqiu was always the most enthusiastic towards her at all times. I miss Daodu. June. Qiuqiu let go of her hand and looked at her sister pitifully. Dad said Daodu really came home this time. I'm so happy. I've been waiting for 2 hours sniffing. I thought Dad was lying to me again. Dad has lied to my sister before. Yes, Jun Kyokuo nodded vigorously. When I was a kid, I wanted to find Daodu. My father said that Daodu would definitely come back. But you didn't come back, Daodu. Did your father lie to me or did you keep your word? Yes. After hesitating, Jun Daodu hugged her sister. I'm sorry, I didn't mean what I said. Guo, forgive me, okay. Well, I won't be angry when you come back. You will come back often in the future. Yun Kyokuo pulled Jun Daodu to her side and looked at the people who came down with caution. You can't take Daodu away, she is mine of. Chu Xia answered with a smile, if you don't snatch it, don't snatch it. We won't snatch it? Why don't we send it back to you? It's cold. Can we talk in the house? Jun Kyokuo's eyes fell on Chu Xia. She looked at her for a few times and felt no malice. She grinned and nodded, go home. In the hall, Lan Alien was sitting next to Junfenshan, her face gloomy. She only raised her eyes to glance at the group of people who came in, and then lowered her head again. Junfenshan stood up enthusiastically, we are all here, sit down quickly, sit down quickly. Zhou Mikang first introduced Chuxia to the other party, Deputy Jun, this is my wife, Lin Chuxia, and your Daodu is a good friend. I know, welcome, everyone, sit down, Jun Fengshan said and winked at his daughter, and Jun Daodu pulled Zhou Hanliang forward, Dad, Mom, I'm back. Uncle, Aunt, I'm here. Come back, sit down and talk. Jun Fengshan greeted the two of them and poked his wife next to him, the child is back, why don't you say something? What are you talking about? Lan Alien glared at her husband, her eyes quickly turning red, she doesn't even see me as a mother in her eyes, so what do I have to say? Do you want to show everyone what a big joke I am? Zhou Hanliang quickly expressed his position, Auntie, it's all my fault. It's me who made things like this between you and Daodu. Give me a chance and let me and Daodu take care of you and your uncle, okay? No, Lan Alien shook her head without thinking, you let my daughter run away from home for so long, and you want me to forgive you in just one sentence, it's impossible. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 547. There is a way. Zhou Hanliang was secretly happy. Although Lan Alien still had a bad attitude toward him, he could tell from her voice that she was not as firmly opposed to the matter between him and Jun Daodu as she was at first. Of course Jun Daodu heard it, so she changed her previous stubbornness, sat next to Lan Alien and held her hand, Mom, I'm sorry, it's all my fault for making you angry. It doesn't matter what she said, Lan Alien's tears started to flow down her face, and she threw her daughter away, you still have the nerve to say it, do you know how much your sister misses you during this time? She stands at the door every day when she gets off work. Ba Wang, but what did you do? For the sake of a man, you can cruelly abandon your parents and sister. I don't have a daughter like you. Jun Kyokuo sniffed, pursed her lips and said, Mom cried too, quietly. I saw it, and she was holding Daodu's photo. Lan Alien wiped away her tears and glared at her eldest daughter, why did Mom cry while holding Daodu's photo? Don't talk nonsense. Mom said, a good boy can't lie. I obviously saw it, how could I not admit it, Jun Kyokuo said while shaking Jun Daodu's arm, Daodu, I didn't lie, I just saw it. Mom, I'm sorry. Jun Daodu took Lan Alien's hand again, if I knew Mom missed me too, I would have come back long ago. Don't say nice things. If I don't agree with you being with him, can you come back? As she spoke, Lan Alien tapped her chin towards Zhou Hanliang. Mom. Jun Daodu's face turned red and she was speechless. Yes, let her give up Zhou Hanliang. She couldn't do it, though. She really cares about her parents' feelings for her because of their departure. She always felt that her parents were closer to Kyokuo than to her. Although she understood that this closeness was due to the fact that Kyokuo had been hurt so much and was part of compensation, she still felt that she was the one who was rejected. Therefore, when Lan Alien interfered with her marriage, she was repulsed from the bottom of her heart, and she felt that Lan Alien's interference was not for her own good, but to exchange her for more benefits. This is also the reason why she will not come back no matter how much Yun Fengshan tries to persuade her. Can't you tell me? Lan Alien shook her head in disappointment. In your heart, have you never regarded this place as your home? In your opinion, my harsh treatment of you is not right at all. Right. Jun Daodu lowered his head and said nothing. Represents the default. Lan Alien sighed and looked at Johan Liang. Do you also think that my objection to your being together is a particularly selfish act? No. Johan Liang quickly shook his head. Auntie, I know my own conditions. I'm not too tall. He looks old and his family background is not good. On Daodu's terms, find a better man than me. It was very easy. I was really touched that she could insist on being with me. I just hope that my aunt will give me this opportunity and let me take good care of Daodu. In this life, I will treat her as the most precious and will never let her be wronged. No matter who is right or wrong, she is right and I am wrong. Regardless of whether I am worthy of her or not, I promise that I will use my actual actions to prove that she is the most suitable and happiest being with me. Who can't talk in vain? Lan Alien glanced at him lightly. Why should I believe you? It's been a lifetime, so why do you want me to believe that what you are saying now is really effective? Auntie, I promise in front of the regiment leader today that if I do anything to displease Daodu in my life, he will immediately expel me from the military. For me, this is something more uncomfortable than death. Like this guaranteed, can you believe it? Lan Alien looked at Zhou Mikang. Are you willing to be his guarantee? Zhou Mikang nodded, yes. Okay. Lan Alien sighed, I gave you this chance. I made a promise in front of so many people today. I hope you can really keep your word. I had other favorite candidates before, and I really don't want Daodu to marry you. However, for me, her happiness is very important, and her happiness is also very important. If I don't agree, she will probably have nothing to do with her life. No matter how happy you are, you won't feel happy, so I'll give you a chance. But you must also promise me that you will marry Daodu after your mission is completely over. Why do I say this? You should understand that you can do it, right? I understand. Johan Liang nodded solemnly. I promise to mention marriage again after the mission is over. He pointed at Huang Sui and Lin Venhang. I'm not familiar with either of them, so I said it in front of them. These are just to make Auntie believe in my determination. Okay. Lan Alien looked at Jun Daodu. You also have to promise me that you won't do anything outrageous before getting married. Otherwise, I won't have a daughter like you. Mom, are you thinking too much? Jun Daodu's face turned red. There are so many people, what are you talking about? It's because there are so many people that I want to say it. If you don't agree, then I won't agree to you being together. Okay, I promise. Why don't I promise? Jun Daodu looked helpless. My face has been completely humiliated. How can I see anyone in the future? You wouldn't run away from home for a man if you were afraid of embarrassment. What's nice to say? Lan Alien rolled her eyes at her. From now on, you have to go home to be with Kyokuo every week. How attached is she to you, but you are not? I don't know, but he's so cruel that he won't come back if he doesn't come back. Kyokuo, I will take you out to play every week from now on. Jun Daodu hugged her sister affectionately. During the Chinese New Year, I will set off firecrackers with you, okay? Okay. Jun Kyokuo nodded vigorously. I like Daodu to play with me at home, but my mother said that Daodu has to go to work, and I really want to go to work, but my mother said that I can't go to work. Daodu, when can I go to work like you? June Daodu took her sister's hand and coaxed softly, "Don't you often get lost when you go out? When you stop getting lost, you can go to work." "As long as I don't get lost, I can go to work." Yoon Kyokuo smiled and shook her head. "Daodu, don't lie to me. I know, my brain is not good, and no place where I work will want me." "Kyokuo." Lan Alien wiped the tears from her eyes and said, "Mom promises that you will be allowed to work in a few years." "Really?" Jun Kyokuo looked at Lan Alien in disbelief, "but the ant in the yard said that there is something wrong with my brain and I am stupid. I will never have a job or a family in this life." "Who said this?" Lan Alien's voice suddenly became sharper. Jun Kyokuo twisted her clothes and said, "Aunt Chin." Lan Alien frowned tightly, "That bastard Chin Zionji. If I don't shut her up next time I see her, my surname will not be Lan. Chin Zionji." Chu Xia looked at Zhou Mixang, who nodded and agreed with her idea. "This Chin Zionji is the other Chin Zionji. Last time, my father-in-law said that he would make this woman suffer in order to save face for her mother-in-law. But now, the woman still has all her hair. She is really puzzled. Although there is a saying that you put a long line to catch big fish, but this line, is it too long?" Seeing what she was thinking, Zhou Mikang said, "Don't worry, Dad is not a man who keeps his word. It's probably just a matter of these few days. Just wait and see." Nodding, Chu Xia didn't say a word. She was the kind of person who must retaliate. Anyway, she felt that Qin Zionji had to pay a price to make her feel comfortable. Seeing that the matter was almost settled, Huang Sui looked at Jun Fengshan. "Deputy Jun, we have something we want to talk to you about. Is it convenient now?" "Okay." Jun Fengshan nodded, got up and walked to the study. Lin Venhang and Huang Sui hurriedly followed. The matter between Zhou Hanliang and Jun Daodu was basically settled, and Zhou Mikang, Chu Xia, Luo Zioxian, and Zhaoqi Liang stood up to leave. "Let's leave after dinner." Jun Daodu grabbed Chu Xia and Luo Zioxian. "Why don't you just come all the way here and just leave like this? The emperor still doesn't need hungry soldiers." "You are not the emperor, so we must leave hungry." After joking, Chu Xia's expression changed. "My parents know that my cousin will come back today. If he goes back late, my parents will be worried." "Okay." Jun Daodu sighed helplessly, "I won't say polite words to you anymore. I owe you a favor. I will remember it." "How can friends talk so much?" Chu Xia punched her and led the way out. After the group left, Lan Alien looked at Zhou Hanliang. "I'm not unreasonable. Since I promised you, I can't make it difficult for you. I've made an appointment with your parents in the past 2 days. You and Daodu, I'm also going to meet her grandpa and grandma, and I'll get you married after the new year. In this way, you will not be criticized by others when you interact with each other. As for what happens in the future, it depends on the fate of the two of you. Zhou Hanliang, this step is already my limit. You can't push your limits." "Thank you, Auntie." Zhou Hanliang stood up and bowed. "Auntie has thought of everything for me. I can't thank you enough. I can't do my best. You can rest assured that it is my responsibility to take good care of Daodu. However, I will never hurt her before we get married." What Lan Alien wanted was this guarantee. After listening to Zhou Hanliang's words, she finally saw a smile on her face. She rubbed the head of her eldest daughter who had been looking at her. "Okay, let's go play with Daodu. Daodu, the clothes I made for you, go quickly, go quickly." Jun Kyokuo pulled Jun Daodu to stand up with excitement on her face. "Don't worry, I can't eat him." Seeing her daughter peeking at her, Lan Alien glared at her. "I gave birth to you in vain. No, I'm afraid that if he can't say anything, he will make Mom angry." Jun Daodu stood up with a smile and followed Jun Kyokuo upstairs. Lan Alien and Zhou Hanliang were the only ones left in the hall. Zhou Hanliang was a little nervous. He didn't know if Lan Alien would do the same thing to her face and behind her back. If so, what would he do? First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 548. Second update arrived. Zhou Hanliang's worry was written on his face, and Lan Alien's face was a little unhappy. Don't be nervous, I am not a person who does one thing in front of you and behind the other's back. Since I promised you to get along in front of my daughter, I won't regret it. I really didn't like you two being together before. No matter in appearance or family background, you are not a good match. Moreover, you know very well what you will face next. I don't want Daodu to be sad. But I have also been here since I was young, and I understand Daodu's current mood. If I keep holding her back, no matter what happens in the future, she will regret it. So, it's better to just let go and give you a chance to develop. As for your personality, I have also investigated it. Otherwise, I would not dare to gamble with my daughter's happiness. When you have children one day, you will understand how I feel now. Daodu did not grow up with us when she was young. This is the biggest shortcoming in her heart, and it is also the biggest regret for me and her father. Therefore, I hope you can let her be more. This child seems to be easy to talk about, but she is very stubborn at heart. Even 8 cows can't get her back if she is sure of something. Just like this time when she ran away from home, her father went to find her several times, but she just wouldn't let go. Return. I know that she is waiting for me to give in, but as an elder and sincerely doing it for her own good, how can I lower my head and beg her? If I really do that, how will I get along with her in the future? I believe she feels bad in her heart. It's impossible for her to really miss us and Kuakuo, but she didn't come back until now, so Zhou Hanliang. You have to think of these questions in advance if you can tolerate her being so stubborn. Just stay with her, if you can't stand it. Just don't waste your time. Zhou Hanliang said seriously, Auntie, I know she has a stubborn temper. I told her that I would let her go. Moreover, I don't think this is a shortcoming. I like girls who have ideas. Okay, now that this is acceptable, I have one more request. That is that you should be nicer to her adoptive parents. They have a very important place in her heart, and they have really given her a family. Warmth, I am very grateful to them, but... Lan Alien sighed, but if you ask me to do something in front of them, I can't do it, my daughter. She has deeper feelings for them than for me. For a mother, I'm very conflicted, and I'm grateful to them. However, I can't get over the hurdle in my heart. I hope you can understand. Zhou Hanliang nodded, I understand. I will be equally filial to them. Okay, that's all I want to say. Before you get married, I will observe you carefully. I hope you won't disappoint me. Also, pretending is useless, I can see it. Zhou Hanliang smiled bitterly, Auntie. How to pretend like this? Don't worry, I've never been a superficial person. If you like it, you like it. If you hate it, you hate it. If you can do it, you can do it. If you can't do it, you can't do it. What I express must be the most authentic version of myself. I hope it can satisfy my aunt. Okay, you sit down for a while I go out, Lan Alien said and went to the door to change shoes. Are you going to find Aunt Jean now? Lan Alien put on her shoes for a moment, then her eyes softened when she looked at Zhou Hanliang who was chasing her. Yes, I'm going to settle the score with her. Don't worry, I won't suffer any loss. No, I'll go with you. Zhou Hanliang's expression was very determined, and he added, I won't notify Daodu, so we two will go together. What's the point of following me? Lan Alien choked him. I am your prospective son-in-law, and I should protect you. Okay, Lan Alien waved to him, let's go. That posture was actually a bit like a big sister's. Qin Zionji's family and Lan Alien's family are neighbors. When they go out, turn left and walk about 20 meters to another courtyard, which is Qin Zionji's house. Seeing Lan Alien come in, Qin Zionji stood up and greeted enthusiastically, "Alien, why are you here? Please take a seat." "Qin Zionji, why have I offended you? You want to say that to my Kyuakuo?" Lan Alien glared at her. "You are also a mother. Are you willing if I scold your son?" Why did I say Kyuakuo?" Although Qin Zionji tried her best to pretend to be innocent when she said this, the guilt in her tone betrayed her. "You said she has a bad brain and will never be able to find a job. Isn't that what I made up? I didn't say that her brain is not working well, I just said that she is not suitable for work." "Who is this? She is chewing her tongue like this," Qin Zionji said angrily. "The last thing my Kyuakuo won't do is lie. Can what she learned from me herself be false? Do you know how much this hurts her? If her intelligence is only that of a 3 or 4-year-old, you can just say that. Don't you know how a 9-year-old or 10-year-old child would react to such words? Qin Zionji, you are also a mother, how could you do such a vicious thing?" I. Qin Zionji muttered, speechless. At this moment, Zhang Xinyu came back, walked in with a gloomy face, walked straight to Qin Zionji, and slapped her on the face with a paw. Not to mention Qin Zionji was stunned, even Lan Alien was shocked. At this moment, she would not think that Zhang Xinyu was venting his anger for her. "You know, what they said was impossible outside?" "Heard." Zhou Hanliang hesitated, not sure whether he should step forward to break up the fight or something. "Now that I have become a commoner, you finally got your wish." Zhang Xinyu glared at Qin Zionji hatefully, turned around and went upstairs, his back looking so desolate. Not caring about others, Qin Zionji caught up with him in a few steps and grabbed his arm. "What's going on? Tell me clearly, what does it mean that you have become a commoner? Don't you like to show off your prestige as MRSQO? Don't you like to compete with Lin Yangkaiu? Don't you like to step on her face? Now, it's finally her turn to step on your face. Are you happy?" What? Qin Zionji's lips trembled for a long time and said, how could she do this? Why should she deal with you in matters between women? Is it a matter between women? When the Zhou family was in trouble, you stepped on others and bullied them. Is this a matter between women? I warned you after that, don't mess with her, don't mess with her. What did you do? Don't you know what kind of character MRS Zhang is like? You actually went to make noise, and when you came back, you said to me, you didn't do anything. Qin Zionji, how could I marry such a loser like you? Do you think Zhou Jingping would really let you bully his wife? If you treat a tiger like a cat, do you really think everything will be fine? Don't you think about how easy it would be for the couple to give birth to a son like Zhou Mikang? After a slight hesitation, Qin Dai yelled at Zhang Xinyu, since it was the Zhou family who harmed you, quickly find a way to deal with them. What kind of skills do you have to yell at me here? I didn't harm you. It's you who hurt me. I've tried to persuade you so many times but you just don't listen. I really don't understand you. You're not as good as others in everything. Why do you have to compare with others? Do you still miss her in your heart? Do you still like her? Qin Zionji snorted coldly. I know that Zhou Jingping must have disliked you for thinking about his wife, so he deliberately targeted you. It's all your fault. Can you blame me? Okay, it's my own fault. I admit it. Qin Zionji, I can't get along with a woman like you. Let's get a divorce. You, what did you say? I said I wanted to divorce you. Anyway, I have become a commoner now. Being with you can't bring you glory. You should go find your glory and wealth. Zhang Xinyu waved his hands with a look on his face. Tired, I don't want to talk to you now, stay away from me, or don't think I'm rude. You. After being glared at by Zhang Xinyu, Qin Zionji did not dare to say anything. Dad, what's going on? Their son Jong Song trotted into the house. I heard that Dad was dismissed from his post. Is it true? What happened? What else can happen as a result of the political game? Jong Xinyu looked helpless. I'm just tired, so I'll just step back and rest. Xiao Song, you have to rely on yourself from now on. Lan Alien never expected that she would see such a scene when she came to settle accounts, so she winked at Zhou Hanliang and quietly left. After leaving the door, Lan Alien waved her hand at him. If you want to go to the Zhou family, just go. Please tell the Zhou family that I am very grateful to them for helping me out. I can help with anything in the future. Yes, I will try my best. Thank you, Auntie. At this moment, Zhou Hanliang's heart really flew to the Zhou family. After hearing what Lan Alien said, he thanked her with a grateful face and ran quickly into the house to find Jun Daodu to say goodbye. A smile bloomed on Lan Alien's lips. The other party's attention to her daughter made her happy. That's all. She no longer had to worry about whether it was a good match or not, or whether her decision was correct. When Zhou Hanliang hurried all the way to Zhou's house, he heard a burst of laughter as soon as he entered the door. It turned out that a large family was gathering together to make dumplings, talking and laughing, and it was so lively. Seeing him come in, Zhou Mikang smiled and joked, "If you don't behave well at my old father-in-law's house, what are you doing here?" Suddenly, Zhou Hanliang felt that his approach of coming to report the news was a bit childish. At this time, what everyone needs is the warmth of family, and no one is unlucky. He simply changed his tone and said, "I am embarrassed to stay here. The Jun family is enjoying the meal." Okay, Han Liang is welcome to come and have a meal. Lin Yangkai pointed to the stool next to her. Don't just stand and watch, wash your hands and come over to help. Tonight, only those who do it themselves will have food to eat. Good, Zhou Hanliang responded happily and ran to the bathroom to wash his hands. You won't be kicked out by Lan Alien, right? Lin Yangkai looked at her son with some worry. I'll ask him later. If it doesn't work, I'll help him talk it over. Zhou Mikang nodded. Okay, I'll ask quietly later. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 549. Chapter 526. Zhou Hanliang washed his hands and came over. Without waiting for anyone to ask questions, he reported the situation automatically. Daodu's mother has basically accepted me, but she asked us to get married later. Then why don't you stay for dinner? Chu Xia asked curiously. Afraid of saying too much, I will take my leave. When you left, was my third cousin still there? Well, they're still talking about things. If you have anything to say, just tell me. Zhou Mikang looked at him. I've known you for so many years, do you think I can't tell? When Zhou Mikang said this, he smiled sheepishly. I was so excited that I rushed back, but now I think you must know it too. Mrs. Zhou glared at him dissatisfied. Xiao Liang, you are getting worse and worse. You didn't speak so hesitantly before. Who did you learn this from? No. Zhou Hanliang scratched his head. That is, Do Daody's mother went to Qin Zionji to calculate the account. As a result, Deputy Teacher Zhang went home and slapped Qin Zionji, saying that he was an ordinary people, and Qin Zionji had to be with Qin Zionji. Divorce. Qin Zionji has always been unkind to Aunt Lin, so I rushed to tell her about it, but seeing how happy everyone was just now, I felt that it was a bit disappointing for me to say this. I guess Grandpa and Uncle must already know about this. Captain, do you also know about it? No, I don't know. Zhou Mikang looked at Mr. Zhou and Zhou Jingping. Grandpa, Dad, do you know? Dad, is this your handiwork? Well, I know, but I didn't expect it to be so fast. Zhou Jingping looked at Lin Yangqiu. I said that I must find justice for you. Now that I have done it, am I no longer aggrieved? Lin Yangqiu smiled happily. But he said resolutely, how long has it been since you were able to find justice? However, aren't you a bit bad? It was Qin Zionji who dealt with me, but you pulled Zhang Xinyu down. Is this appropriate? If he hadn't done something inappropriate, I wouldn't be able to pull his chin, would I? Zhou Jingping looked at Mr. Zhou. Dad, I'm not doing this for personal gain. Zhang Xinyu framed Peng Dingguo, I didn't make it up out of thin air. I know. Mr. Zhou glared at him, I'm your dad, don't you know your temper? Come and explain to me, do you owe it to yourself? Zhou Jingping has a black streak on his head. Can his old man not have such a hot temper? In front of a bunch of juniors, where can he put his face? Old man, the boss is not young anymore. Please pay attention to your tone. Mrs. Zhou came to the rescue with a smile. Yang Kaiu, your dad thinks the boss is too slow, haha. Dad, you are absolutely tall in our hearts, Chu Xia said quickly. Higher, Zhou Jingping repeated unconsciously. Realizing that she had said words that did not belong to this era, Chu Xia quickly made up for it. Shang means leaning on top. Elder means that you are in our hearts. You are a tall, majestic, upright, and worthy of respect. She didn't dare. It can be interpreted as high-end atmosphere and high-end quality, and the high-end atmosphere is easy to say. If she dares to say that her father-in-law is of a higher class, then that's not asking for death. This kid can really make up some new words. Mrs. Zhou smiled, but I like it, tall and tall, haha, so am I tall and tall too. Chu Xia nodded and agreed, of course, grandparents are all tall and distinguished. Seeing everyone chatting and laughing, Liang Xiaohong felt very sad. She went to her son and daughter-in-law several times, but she couldn't persuade her to come back. Normally, it was fine, but during the Chinese New Year, she felt really bad. Noticing her expression, Mrs. Zhou sighed, Xiaohong, let Gangping go to Zhongkang with you tomorrow. Just tell his grandfather that I told him that he must move back here during the New Year. Mom. Liang Xiaohong looked at Mrs. Zhou with excitement, are you telling the truth? Is this a lie? Old Mrs. Zhou glared at her. Zhongkang is also my grandson, and he is equally dear to me in my heart. However, I don't want to force him when he can't turn around. Mr. Zhou answered, my second daughter-in-law, Zhongkang will be 26 after the New Year. No matter how you kiss him, you can't coax him like a child. Otherwise, it will be difficult for him to truly grow up in his life. Liang Xiaohong nodded quickly, thank you Dad, thank you Mom, I know, I understand the truth. At this time, Kang Zheng and Mei Xiaofeng were in a quarrel in the middle of the week. Mei Xiaofeng meant that if she didn't go back to the Zhou family, she would go to the Mei family to celebrate the New Year. Anyway, the two of them couldn't spend the New Year in this dilapidated dormitory. And Zhou Zhongkang was not interested in returning to the Zhou family, and he was even less interested in returning to the Mei family. He believed that if he went to Mei's house during the New Year, he would be stepping in on someone else's door. If Mr. Mei likes him, he would be nice to see him. However, when he meets him on a regular basis, Mr. Mei always has a cold and indifferent expression, and he has not been of any substantial help to him so far. In his heart, he is those who resent the Mei family will of course not be able to go to the Mei family to celebrate the New Year. You mean, we'll stay here during the Chinese New Year? Mei Xiaofeng looked at him angrily, her face turning red. What, now you regret marrying me and living a hard life? Zhou Zhongkang glanced at her coldly, if you don't want to live with me and want to go back to your parents' home, I won't stop you. Zhou Zhongkang, you bastard. Am I a bastard or have you changed? I told you from the time we met me that in the Zhou family, I am a marginal figure and it is impossible for the Zhou family's resources to be put on me. I also said that I have never been close to the Zhou family. If we get married, we will have to start our own business. It may be very difficult at the beginning. What did you say at that time? You said you like me as a person and don't mind if I have a good relationship with the Joe family. You said there is also the May family, who will lend a helping hand when the time is right. But what's the result? You began to dislike me for not returning to the Joe family, and you began to dislike me for not being able to please them. As for your May family, you didn't even want to look at me. If it is true, as you said, that you are willing to be with me because you love me, you shouldn't force me like this. It's not impossible to go back to the Joe family, but it's just my mother telling us to go back. What does it mean? As for going to May's house, you said no one wants to see me. If I go, I won't be able to hold my head high in May's house anymore. I am also a person who wants face. Mei Xiaofeng, don't let me step on my face under my feet. Come on, okay. Don't you think you overthink a lot of things? You are the junior in the Joe family. We have gone back before, and there have been no irreconcilable conflicts. But if you say you want to fall out, you will fall out, and if you say you don't want to go back, you won't. When you go back, who else do you want to invite you? In the May family, you are the son-in-law, and all respect must be earned by yourself. The May family will treat you like a treasure if you do nothing. Zhou Zhonkong, do you know how much you weigh? According to what you said, if your boss doesn't hire you in the future, will you not work hard and stay at home waiting for your boss to hire you? If it's a job that you can't do without, yes. However, if you are just dispensable, do you think it is necessary for others to bow to you? Now we have taken the initiative to return to the Joe family and get along well with our grandparents and elders. They will definitely accept us and treat us well. You can go, but I won't go. Zhou Zhonkong closed his eyes and rested on the sofa. I like this kind of free life, why should I go back and see their faces? Mei Xiaofeng, you are my wife, you protect me. The person should be me, not someone else. What are you trying to do? Mei Xiaofeng was so angry that she punched him, in front of outsiders. No matter if I offend someone or not, I will definitely fight against you, because I am your wife. If I don't give you face, who will give you face? But at home, I can't go to you and make you go to the wrong place even though I know you are wrong. How can we live our lives like this? What should I do if I have a baby? We'll talk about it later. You. Mei Xiaofeng was so angry that she threw herself on the bed and cried. Marriage is indeed different from love. At first, she fell in love with Zhou Zhonkong at first sight. At that time, although he had a cold attitude towards others, he was still very gentle to her. He also knew how to take care of her when he went out to eat. It would be better now, just wait for the ready-made meal when she gets home, and don't help at all with the housework. The key is, he didn't see anything she did, and he thought it was what she should do. You know, before getting married, she was the sweet girl of the family and didn't do any housework. Why should she become a mother-in-law after marrying her? Fortunately, every time her mother-in-law comes, she will help her tidy up the house. Otherwise, she would really go crazy. If nothing else, she would just wash clothes in the middle of winter, which is not a human sin. Thinking about the other two daughters-in-law of the Zhou family, Yu Tao and Lin Chuxia, she felt even more aggrieved. For the same people, why should she have to live like this when they live the life of a young mistress? Okay, stop crying. Zhou Zhonkang's voice increased unconsciously. You're celebrating the new year, why are you crying? Do you really think our life is going too smoothly? Mei Xiaofeng sat up and looked at him bitterly. Zhou Zhonkong, I don't want to be with you. Okay, Zhou Zhonkong nodded. I will ask the tutor to issue a divorce consent form tomorrow. You. What she said out of anger was just to hope that the other party would persuade her. As a result, in exchange for such a ruthless answer, Mei Xiaofeng felt a rush of blood rush to her forehead. When she saw the kitchen knife hanging on the wall, He ran over, took off the kitchen knife, put it to his wrist and cut it, blood quickly poured out. Zhou Zhonkong thought she was just trying to scare people. When he saw this, he panicked. He ran over and grabbed the knife from her hand, picked her up and ran out. You still care about me? Mei Xiaofeng smiled stupidly, and her expression made Zhou Zongkang's heart ache. What had he done? First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 550. Second update. Zhou Zongkang's dormitory was specially allocated to him by the school. The students were on vacation and most of the teachers went home. He ran all the way down, shouting for help. When he reached the bottom of the building, a third-year student finally came out. The teenage female teacher glanced at the blood dripping on the ground and faintly fainted. Zhou Zhonkang quickly shouted inside, "Teacher Zhang, come out quickly, Teacher Su has fainted." The female teacher's husband ran out wearing a pair of long johns. When he saw the blood dripping from Mei Xiaofeng's wrist, he immediately understood. "Xiaozhou, send Xiao Mei to the hospital quickly. Su Qing is bleeding, it's okay." Hearing this, Zhou Zhonkang didn't think much more and ran away. At this moment, he didn't point to anyone for help. He only had one thought in his mind. He had to race against time to get his wife's life back. With good luck, he saw a human-powered tricycle pedaling past the door. "Comrade, stop, comrade, stop!" he shouted while chasing. When the other party could barely stop, he also chased him to the car. Carefully putting his unconscious wife on the seat, he shouted to the tricycle driver, "Take us to the nearest hospital, hurry up." When the tricycle driver saw this situation, he didn't care what to say, he kicked off the car and ran away. The closest to the school was the Municipal People's Hospital. 5 minutes later, the car stopped at the entrance of the hospital. Zhou Zhonkang picked up his wife and ran inside. "You haven't paid for the car yet," the tricycle driver muttered, and when he saw the other party, he didn't even look at her. When he didn't reply, he shook his head, slowly kicked off the car and walked out. "Doctor, help. My wife lost too much blood and passed out. Please help." Zhou Zongkang's shout was heard. A nurse on duty quickly pushed a car over, "Get the patient up to the room, quickly." Another nurse quickly called the doctor on duty. "Yuan Hui is on duty tonight. She is the granddaughter of Mr. Yuan. She has gone through the transfer procedures, but has not yet been approved, so she has to stay and work in the People's Hospital for the time being." "Doctor, my wife lost too much blood." Yuan Hui interrupted Zhou Zhonkang, "I saw it, don't be wordy." Then she ordered the nurse, "Operating room no 1. Yes, the nurse pushed the car and trotted forward. Yuan Hui also started running quickly, and Zhou Zhonkang was stunned for a moment. "Go straight after him. The wound on my wrist was too deep and I needed more than a dozen stitches after debridement." After hanging up the water and sending him to the ward, Yuan Hui looked at Zhou Zhonkang with a look of disapproval. The fact that she can be so cruel means that she really wants to die. Men must learn to give in to women more before they marry you. It's not about seeking death. If it were before, Zhou Zhonkang would definitely steal a few words from Bai Yuan Hui. But now, looking at his wife's pale little face and the thick gauze wrapped around his wrist, he really has backward hair. Although being trained felt uncomfortable, he pursed his lips and said nothing. "She has some mild anemia. If you don't pay attention to it, it will have a great impact on future fertility." Yuan Hui looked at him lightly, "Make her more delicious food to supplement her. If you marry someone, you must be responsible for them. Don't be unhappy with a straight face, just say it's for your own good." "Yes," Zhou Zhonkang responded reluctantly. "I'm in the doctor's duty room. If you need anything, ask the nurse to call me. Every hour, I'll come over and take a look." After Yuan Hui finished speaking, she left without looking back. What she hated most was men like Zhou Zhonkang. One look at his face shows that he is the kind of narrow-minded person who is easy to get into trouble. Otherwise, how could he force his wife to be like this? The next morning, Mei Xiaofeng woke up faintly and saw Zhou Zhonkang sitting on the bedside with bloodshot eyes. A smile bloomed on her lips. "You feel sorry for me?" Tears overflowed unconsciously. Zhou Zhonkang quickly wiped them away and kissed her forehead. "I'm sorry, I'm the bastard who made you suffer. I promise I won't be angry with you again in the future." Mei Xiaofeng smiled. "If after this time, you can figure it out, I think it's worth it." Zhou Zhonkang, "I'm still saying the same thing, I'm with you because I like you. If I have to die, I can in exchange for your awakening, I will die without hesitation." "How could you die?" "You have to stay with me and give birth to our babies. In the future, we will have grandchildren. When we grow old, we will support each other and walk on campus, with our little granddaughters and grandsons by our side. You can tell them my bastard thing, let them know that it is because of grandma's sacrifice that the family's happiness is achieved and they are born." Mei Xiaofeng smiled and nodded. "Okay, I'll tell them. When the time comes, you must not blame me for not saving face for you. I will listen to you from now on, Xiaofeng." After a pause, pain appeared in Zhou Zhonkang's eyes. "Do you know what I felt when I held you last night? I feel like the sky is going to fall. If something happens to you, my life will probably be ruined. In fact, I have been concerned about not getting the love of my parents since I was a child. I stay away from the Zhou family, not because I really hate the Zhou family. I hope to attract their attention in this way and make them treat me better than the third brother, or as good as the third brother. In fact, you have always been the closest person to me, but I am a person who cannot express myself and am a bit one-sided. I always feel that if you love me, you should think about me in everything. So, when you blame me, I will feel disappointed and say something that is not true. Xiaofeng, I was wrong. I will never be so stingy again in the future, and you are not allowed to hurt yourself like this again, okay?" "Good." "Okay." Mei Xiaofeng nodded. "I heard you said you wanted to divorce me, and I felt very angry, so I just wanted to die. You don't care about me anyway. We are such a pair of fools," Zhou Zhonkang murmured with his face pressed against his wife's. Yuan Hui came in and happened to see the scene, and couldn't help but curl her lips. Hearing the footsteps, Zhou Zhonkang turned around and saw Yuan Hui's expression clearly. Thinking of the other party's scolding of him last night, his expression became a little unnatural and he said, "Dr. Yuan, my wife is in good spirits." "Thank you." Yuan Huilai ignored him and went straight forward to look at the data on the bedside instrument. Then she looked at Mei Xiaofeng's complexion and said, "It's not bad, but you must stay in a good mood during this period and eat more nutritious food, don't overwork yourself. This fatigue is not only physical, but also mental." "Okay, thank you Dr. Yuan." Mei Xiaofeng smiled at her, "Thank you for saving me." Yuan Hui looked at her expressionlessly. "Your life is your own. If you don't care, who else will? Don't do such stupid things in the future, otherwise, I won't save you again." "No, the misunderstanding between my husband and I has been solved. I was too impulsive. In fact, it's nothing. It's just that the two of us had different opinions. When my brain got hot, I did something stupid." Mei Xiaofeng smiled sheepishly and said, "Thank you, Dr. Yuan, for letting you worry about it." As he spoke, he pinched Zhou Zhonkang gently. Zhou Zhonkang could only say, "Dr. Yuan, thank you. You have said this several times. Instead of telling me this, it is better to treat your wife well in the future," Yuan Hui said and made a menu for him. "These are very good for her health. She will be the best after she is discharged from the hospital. It's best to supplement according to the combination above." Zhou Zhonkang nodded repeatedly, "Okay, I will." After Yuan Hui left, Zhou Zhonkang frowned. He couldn't cook any of the recipes listed above. Please ask my mother-in-law for help. Mei Xiaofeng smiled at him, the scar on my hand cannot be deceived. Rather than hiding it, it is better to tell them. However, don't tell my parents. I don't want our relationship to get in trouble. Okay, Zhou Zhonkong nodded in agreement. He also understood that if his father-in-law and mother-in-law knew about it now, then he and Mei Xiaofeng would probably really come to an end. Liang Xiaohong's legs felt weak after receiving a call from Zhou Zhonkong. Chu Xia and Zhou Mixang happened to come down from upstairs and saw Liang Xiaohong sitting on the sofa with a pale face. Chu Xia quickly stepped forward to support her. Second aunt, what's wrong? Zhou Mixang also looked at her with concern. When the words came to her lips, Liang Xiaohong changed her words. Zhonkong asked me to make breakfast. I'm so excited. Congratulations, second aunt, Chu Xia said without doubting that he was there, and turned to go to the kitchen. Zhao Yulan was making buns. When she saw her daughter, her eyebrows were filled with smiles. Are you awake? Well, Chu Xia put her arms around Zhao Yulan's shoulders. Mom, am I too lazy? You made so many buns before I got up. I'll get up earlier tomorrow to help you. Mom is getting older, so she's young. Zhao Yulan glanced outside and whispered something in Chuxia's ear. Really? Chu Xia looked at her in disbelief. Mom, did you hear clearly? How can I talk nonsense about this? Zhao Yulan glared at her daughter with dissatisfaction. Your mother is not a talkative woman. If it weren't for these days, your second aunt is looking forward to the reunion all the time. I wouldn't say much. You and Xiaomi, tell me, let him find a way to take a look, and Ma who can't do anything about his body and bones. Second aunt definitely didn't say anything because she didn't want Zhou Zhonkong to be embarrassed in front of Zhou Mixang. If he went to investigate secretly, how embarrassing would it be for second aunt? After thinking about it, Chu Xia said, Mom, let's just pretend not to know, for a while. You can cook some millet and red date porridge and ask the third aunt to deliver it to you. Later, when cooking, just make something suitable for the patients. This way you won't lose face and can take care of your 4 younger siblings. Everyone will be fine. Okay, you are more thoughtful. Zhao Yulan pushed her daughter with her elbow. Go and exercise with Xiaomi. Mom doesn't need your help here. By the way, bring your dad back. He went out to collect firewood early in the morning. Don't get lost again. Chu Xia had a funny look on her face. Mom, what you said is too exaggerated. How can Dad get lost after living here for so many days? You praise your father too much. He went out for a walk the day before yesterday and got lost and couldn't come back. He wanted to save face and refused to let me tell you, Zhao Yulan said and laughed. In the end, when we met Uncle Ye, he pretended I just finished my walk and followed someone back. First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 551. Chu Xia and Zhou Mikang ran almost around the entire villa area before they met Lin Baohe carrying a bundle of firewood. Lin Baohe breathed a sigh of relief when he saw his daughter and son-in-law. Dad, I'll come, Zhou Mikang said as he went to pick up the bundle of firewood and grain from Lin Baohe's back. No, don't get your clothes dirty, Lin Baohe said while shrinking back. You just run slowly ahead, and I will go back with you. How can that be done? Zhou Mikang forcibly snatched the bundle of firewood from his back and carried it on his back. I'm so young and running on empty, and let my father carry the firewood. That's too unfilial. Of course there was no shortage of firewood at home, but Lin Baohe was someone who couldn't sit still, and he was particularly concerned about his own existence value. Therefore, when he went out to collect firewood, the Zhou family didn't say anything. In early summer, she was secretly glad that there was no animal excrement here, otherwise her father would really be able to carry a dung basket and pick up animal excrement all day long. It wasn't that she was embarrassed, but thinking about the large yard of the old villa being filled with animal poop made her feel sick to death. Furthermore, just like this, many people living here started gossiping and felt that the Zhou family looked down upon the Lin family and treated Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan as servants. For this matter, Mr. Zhou and Mrs. Zhou specially talked to Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan. Both of them are real people. To be honest, if they were left here to eat for nothing, they would feel bad. They have something to do, so they feel more at ease. They didn't mind when outsiders gossiped, but they did mind gossiping about the Zhou family. After the two parties talked, Lin Baohe stopped collecting firewood. However, since then, when he got up in the morning and sat there, he looked wilted. Mr. Zhou and Mrs. Zhou also noticed that he was not a person who could live idle. It's definitely not good for your health if you always let him suppress his temper. He took the initiative to express that he could continue to collect firewood if he wanted to. The Zhou family didn't care what others thought, as long as everyone was happy. Lin Baohe was not ignorant, and he felt uncomfortable leaving him idle, but he worked hard to adjust himself. Now he goes to pick it up every 3 to 5 days, and explains the reason when he meets an acquaintance. As for whether people believe it or not, he can't control it, but he believes that as time goes by, no one will gossip. It's just that his road-crazy nature can't be changed, and he will get lost 8 times out of 10. Strangely enough, the houses in the village are all the same, and he can find them wherever he looks. But when he came here and saw the old-fashioned villas with similar structures, he turned around and fainted. I used a lot of stupid methods, including markings. Count in rows, and the result is that you can get it wrong every time. He was too embarrassed to ask unfamiliar people, so he would wander around in circles every time he got lost. Until you meet a familiar neighbor, you will follow them quietly. The couple didn't tell anyone about this. Therefore, the Zhou family still didn't know that Lin Baohe could be so crazy. Otherwise, they would definitely have sent people to follow him. As the firewood was carried on Zhou Mikang's back, Lin Baohe felt uncomfortable all over, especially hating his own fault. He secretly made up his mind that he would never pick up firewood when Zhou Mikang was at home. Such a big official would have to carry a bundle of firewood on his back. How embarrassing would it be if an acquaintance met him with zike on his back? Everything comes to mind. As soon as I turn a corner, I happen to meet Yemiru's mother Jiang Yuxian and sister Yemiun, as well as Yemiun's daughter Tong Tong. Jiang Yuxian was completely dissatisfied with Zhou Mikang, and was even more hostile to Chu Xia and Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan. If it weren't for this family, her daughter should be the daughter-in-law of the Zhou family. How could she end up like this? Yemiun had no ill feelings toward Zhou Mixang. Her sister knew her well, and she had a strong disdain for Yemiru's temperament. Therefore, she felt that her sister was not worthy of Zhou Mixang. Although she felt that Chu Xia was not worthy of Zhou Mikang, she was still much better than her sister. Therefore, the moment she saw the group of people, she had a smile on her face. Zhou Mikang, you can't tell. You are quite diligent. Sister Miun, did you just come here or are you going home? Zhou Mikang had a good impression of Yemiun, so when the other party asked, he greeted her cooperatively. I have to go home. I stayed here last night. Ahem, Jiang Yuxian interrupted her daughter with a heavy cough, go back quickly. Don't keep Tong Tong's father waiting. He is so young, but he is still so indifferent. Tong Tong had been looking up at Zhou Mixang with her little face raised, and now she grinned, Uncle Zhou, it turns out it's you. I didn't recognize it. I thought you were the uncle who herds sheep. Yemiun smiled sheepishly and explained, she recently studied the text and there were illustrations on it. When she saw the person carrying firewood, she thought it was a sheep herder. Let's go, Jiang Yuxian's voice increased a bit, if you keep doing this, don't come back and complain about your husband's family treating you badly. You can't tell who is close to whom. Why should they be nice to you? Obviously this was referring to Sang Shuhui, who thought she was greeting Zhou Mikang and Lin Baohe. Chu Xia had been silent all this time, but now seeing Jiang Yuxian's appearance, she couldn't help but smile and wave her paw at Yamiun. Sister Miun, take Tong Tong to my house to play when you have time. Yamiun smiled and nodded. Okay, she has more feelings for her father than her mother. Therefore, Jiang Yuxian's behavior at this time not only did not make her restrain herself, but actively cooperated with Chu Xia. Ever since she was little, her mother has always favored her younger sister. Just because her younger sister looks better than her vision in choosing a husband, oh no, it should be said that when she chose Zhou Mikang before, her vision was better than hers, so her mother felt that it was the younger daughter who borrowed the Polish, and she became increasingly unhappy with the older daughter. If it hadn't been for the incident between Yamiru and Huang Xinlong, it would have been like this, and her mother wouldn't have been able to treat her kindly, and she wasn't angry in her heart. Like this time, she had a conflict with her husband and was scolded by her mother-in-law. She wanted to go back to her parents' house to stay for 2 more days, but her mother couldn't wait to kick her out. Those who didn't know it thought that her mother loved her so much that she sent her back to her husband's house early and sent her off in person. Only she knew that her mother was worried that her marriage would have problems and make her look bad. Why should my sister be punished when she makes a mistake? If she just went back to her husband's house now, she would be even less able to hold her head up in the future. There are no conflicts between husband and wife, she knows this, but she cannot blame the daughter-in-law for everything if the husband and wife have conflicts. The conflict between the couple can be resolved by themselves, so why should the whole family get involved? In the end, she became a loner who was dealt with. Therefore, after hearing Chu Xia's invitation, she thought of going to Zhou's house to escape. In any case, she could not compromise easily this time. But looking at her mother's appearance, it was impossible for her to go to Zhou's house. When she had an idea, she smiled at Jiang Yuxian. Mom, go back quickly. Grandma still needs your care. I will take Tong with me right now. Tong go home. After saying that, he waved to Zhou Mikang and others, took his daughter and left. Jiang Yuxian kept staring at her figure disappearing around the corner, and then turned around and went home. Along the way, she kept sighing. Both daughters did not let her worry. Her mother-in-law disliked her more and more, if she continued like this. What if Yezonghe doesn't want her? Yamiun stared at Jiang Yuxian's figure disappearing, then took her daughter and hurriedly walked to Zhou's house. Although Tong Tong was young, she still knew which way to go home. When she realized that her mother was taking her in the wrong direction, she asked, Mom, where are we going? Mom will take you to Uncle Zhou's house to play with Ying. Okay. Okay, the little girl likes to have people to play with. Moreover, Ying is 2 years older than her and always gives in to her when they are together. This makes Xiao Tongtong particularly fond of Ying. Chu Xia's group entered the door, followed by Yamiun and Tongtong. Hearing the footsteps, Chu Xia turned around reflexively and saw Yamiun and her daughter. There was a brief surprise in their eyes, and she greeted with a smile. May Sister Yun, please come in quickly, he said, taking Tongtong's little hand. Do you want to play with Sister Ying? Tongtong likes to play with Ying, so I brought her here. Yamiun smiled sheepishly. I'm really not a person who can stand up to others. My brothers and sisters will definitely not dare to give in to me in the future. No way, Grandma said. She likes to be crowded when the family is busy, Chu Xia said, and picked up Tongtong. Xiao Tongtong, do you like the excitement? I like it, the little girl nodded her head vigorously and said, Aunt Zhou, you are so good looking. When I grow up, I want to be so good looking. Okay, Tongtong will definitely be more beautiful than the third aunt when she grows up, Chu Xia answered herself, feeling funny in her heart that she was only 18 years old and she became an aunt. Haha. Mrs. Zhou and Lin Yangkai both welcomed Yamiun's arrival. They had grown up watching Yamiun, and no matter what the trouble with Yamiru was, Yamiun had always been the same on the outside, and they still liked her. Yamiun and Tongtong were still staying at Joe's house until they came back from get off work in the early summer evening. Seeing some confusion in her eyes, Lin Yangkao took a chance to explain to her, "I had a conflict with my husband's family, and her mother didn't support her. She didn't want to go back, so she just wanted to stay here. Your grandma and I tried to persuade her for a long time, but the child just cried. Later, your grandma couldn't stand it anymore, so she kept her at home for 2 days. However, she sent someone to Lee's house." Knowing that her mother-in-law was explaining this to herself because she was afraid that she would misunderstand that the Zhou family did not pay enough attention to her, Chu Xia smiled and said, "Mom, Sister Miun is Sister Miun, and Yamiru is Yamiru. I will not express my anger. I was just a little surprised that she stayed here for a whole day, but hearing you say that, it's understandable. When will the second sister and the fourth sister come back? Does Mom know?" Of course Lin Yangkai was happy that her daughter-in-law was thinking about her daughter so much, so she said, "As I said, we will all come back tomorrow. Liao Hui will have to go back for 2 more days after sending Xiao Si back. Ji Ping and his wife will wait until the new year is over before going back." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 552. Second update. When the fourth sister and the second sister come back, the house will be even more lively. Chu Xia thought for a while and looked at her mother-in-law. "Mom, I want to go to the regiment after work tomorrow. Luan Dajiang is in his first year as a soldier and can't go home. I'll go see how he's feeling." "Okay, go ahead." Lin Yangkai nodded. "If we weren't afraid that it would be bad for his development, we would have let him come back to our house to celebrate the new year." Chu Xia hurriedly said, "Mom, I understand that they are all soldiers. Others are celebrating the new year together, but he is alone without him. Who will play with him in the future? You kid, it's so easy to talk." Lin Yangkai hugged her shoulders affectionately. "Come on, wash your hands and eat." "Madam." Mrs. Lu came over. "Mrs. Zhang Qin Zionji is here. She wants to see Madam." "She's here." Lin Yangkai curled her lips. "Now you thought of coming to me? Do you think she came to me to settle a score, or to please me?" Chu Xia smiled and blinked her big eyes. "What kind of thing does Mom want? If she comes to settle a score with me, I'll give her a high look. If she comes to please me..." Lin Yangkai curled her lips. "Then she really makes me feel sick." Lin Yangkai herself is a man of character, so naturally she hates weaklings. "Madam, do you want her to come in or not?" Mrs. Lu asked again. "Let her come in," Lin Yangkai said while dragging Chu Xia to sit down on the sofa. "Don't get up when she comes." How she treated me before, I want her to experience it now." No problem regarding this, Chu Xia didn't have any psychological burden at all. To her, only those who are kind to her and her family deserve her respect. If you always want to step on her family, she doesn't mind stepping on the drowned dog a little more. Compared with the last time they met, Qin Zionji had lost a lot of weight. Her face was also extremely ugly. After entering the room, she looked around with some slow reaction. First she walked towards Mrs. Zhou to say hello, then she came to Lin Yangkai and knelt down. This action was beyond Lin Yangkai's expectation. She reflexively stood up to help Qin Zionji, and she only realized it when her hand touched her arm. "Who is the person kneeling here?" So he made a pretense and retracted his hand. "I'm here as soon as I come." "Why are you doing such a big salute?" "Chewer, I was wrong. I have always targeted you for so many years. It was because I was short-sighted and I did not know what I could do. You, sir, don't be as familiar with me as I am, okay? That chewer and those pitiful eyes. This person gave early summer goosebumps all over his body. It's really affordable and easy to put down. Don't call me that. You don't have the qualifications. Lin Yangkai looked at her expressionlessly. Besides, at my age, if you call me that again, it makes me feel sick. Yangkai, I know you are still angry with me. Just hit me. Qin Zionji said and pulled Lin Yangkai's hand. You hit me in the face, or anywhere else, I will never do it. Half a complaint. Lin Yangkai looked at her with disgust. Qin Zionji, you have always been the one who likes to target me no matter what happens. I have never felt that I have anything to say to you, so you don't need to behave like this in front of me today. I really know that I was wrong. It was my fault. I was overestimating my abilities. Please forgive me. Seeing her look, Lin Yangkai felt a little bored, so she waved her hand. I don't really hold grudges, so you can go. Promise to help me with something, and I'll leave right away. Qin Zionji knelt down and nuzzled in front of her. Promise me, please. You didn't say anything, how could I agree to you? Lin Yangkai rolled her eyes. Is it possible that if you ask me to kill people and set fires, I have to agree? I definitely don't dare to let you do such a thing, so I beg you to speak to Zhang Xinyu and ask him not to divorce me. I promise that I will never be jealous of you again, let alone do anything to embarrass you. Yang Kaiu, because we had a good relationship when we were young, just help me this time, okay? I am also 50 years old. If I get divorced, my life will be over. You don't want me to do something that everyone will regret, right? Threatening me, Lin Yangkai looked at her funny. Now is the time, don't forget to use this kind of trick. Qin Zionji, you are indeed a dog who can't change and eat shit. Qin Zionji tried her best to suppress the anger in her heart and forced out a smile. How dare I threaten you? I just explained my current situation. If my son hadn't stopped me, I would have taken sleeping pills last night. Don't say such things. If you really want to eat, does your son have a chance to stop you? Lin Yangkai looked at her with disdain. You said you would take advantage of your children for such a thing, how shameless are you? When people really want to commit suicide, will they go to others and publicize it? Qin Zionji was speechless. Yes, if she hadn't been bluffing, how could her son have discovered her intention? In fact, she mainly made it for her husband to see. Unfortunately, he hid in the study without saying a word after seeing it. If it wasn't for her son, or she really took the medicine. The moment her husband entered the study, she was completely despairing. If a man doesn't care about your life or death, what does that mean? After hesitating for a day, she mustered up the courage to come to the Zhou family. If she had known that this day would come to her earlier, she would not have treated Lin Yangkai like that when the Zhou family was in trouble. Qin Zionji, I can do this without adding insult to injury, but I absolutely cannot shake hands with you and make peace. I know very well what kind of person you are. Thinking about these years, when have I met you and not made my liver ache because you were so angry? You have known me for so many years, so you should know who I am, so you don't need me to go into details, right? Yes, of course she knew that Lin Yangkai had always been a shrewd master with a clear sense of grudges, and asking her to think about herself now was simply humiliating herself. However, thinking of her husband forcing her to get a divorce, she had no choice but to put her face under her feet. Yangkai, give me one chance, just once, okay? If someone drags you out, you will lose all face. Lin Yangkai pointed to the dining table as she spoke. We are about to have dinner, are you really not going to leave? You go to eat first, I'll wait for you on the sofa. Qin Zionji wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes. Yangkai, I'm really desperate, please. Okay, you can reflect here by yourself. Let's go have dinner, Lin Yangkao said, pulling up her daughter-in-law. Let's go, there's no need to accompany her. Chu Xia has a dark streak, when will she accompany Qin Zionji? During the whole process, except for Chu Xia who was watching, everyone else was busy doing their own thing and did not participate. Mr. Zhou and Mrs. Zhou even adopted a policy of completely ignoring Qin Zionji. After dinner, Qin Zionji was still sitting there. The old lady was unhappy. She sat opposite her and leaned on a walking stick. It seems that you treat me like a dead person. No, 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 Qin Zionji waved her hands repeatedly. Auntie, I really have no choice, otherwise, I wouldn't be so shameless in begging for Yang Kaiu. Everyone makes mistakes, and some people refuse to correct their mistakes. I am willing to change now. Please let Yang Kaiu give me a chance, okay? Anyway, Zhang Xinyu used to like Yan Qiu, and I snatched him from Yan Qiu. Over the years, he has always been obsessed with Yan Qiu. As long as Yang Kaiu comes forward, he will definitely listen to Yan's advice and live a good life with me. Auntie, please, let Yang Kaiu help me. If you were my mother-in-law, what would you do? Chu Xia asked. After a pause, Qin Zionji said bravely, of course I need to forgive the other person and give the other person a clear path. It's better to dissolve enemies than to end them. It sounds like it's true, but it's a pity that it doesn't mean what it says. Chu Xia yawned. I'm sleepy, aren't you going to go home and sleep? Yang Kaiu, you have treated your daughter-in-law too harshly. If you do this, you will be the one who suffers in the future. Qin Zionji looked at Lin Yangkao sincerely. You have to believe me, I am really doing it for your own good. It's good for me, just to slander my daughter-in-law and cause conflicts between me and my daughter-in-law, so you can reap the benefits, right? Lin Yangkao rolled her eyes at her. I've said everything that needs to be said, it's your business, you can handle it yourself, I won't interfere, he said and went straight upstairs. Mom, Dad, I'm tired, let's go up and take a rest. Commander Zhou, Qin Zionji looked at Zhou Jingping begging for help, please let my Xinyu go. As long as you don't punish him, he will live a good life with me. I promise that I will never target Yang Kaiu again in the future, and I will also say good things about her everywhere to let everyone know what a generous person she is. Also, if there is news that someone else is deliberately targeting the Zhou family, I will inform you as soon as I know it. You have to know that others regard us as enemies. In front of me, I will definitely not hide my thoughts about you. Zhang Xinyu's matter is real. I didn't target him intentionally. There's no point in begging me. Zhou Jingping spread his hands. I admit, if you didn't target my wife, I wouldn't be involved in this case. Investigate, every drink and every peck has a certain number, you must drink the bitter wine you brew yourself, no one can replace you. Are you so cruel? Qin Zionji said and stood up. If you don't agree, I will crash to death in front of your house and let everyone scold your Zhou family for being ruthless and unjust. Before I die, I will curse if your Zhou family has no descendants. If there is another life, I will never let you have an easy time. Chu Xia heard a dark clue. This man was so soft that he was so shameless. If Zhou Jingping hadn't said that he would be responsible for this matter, Zhou Mixang would have slipped Qin Zionji out. Now seeing Zhou Jingping sitting there firmly, he looked at his father with some dissatisfaction. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 553. One update arrived. Killed in front of my house, Zhou Jingping looked at Qin Zionji funny. Do you think you can threaten me like this? He waved his hand. Just hit her if you want, I will never stop you. Qin Zionji was a little dumbfounded. She had no intention of dying. However, having said that, if she didn't do something, wouldn't she be looked down upon even more? But how to control this strength? If it's a minor case, others won't take it seriously. If it's a serious case, you'll suffer the consequences. If you die, she shudders, she doesn't want to die. Even if Zhang Xinyu wants to divorce her now, doesn't she still have a son? As long as the son faces her, one day her husband will come back to her. If he really dies, there will be nothing. Grandma, this is for you to cushion at Chu Xia's signal. Ying'er handed a sponge to Qin Zionji. It won't hurt if you use it as a cushion. You. Qin Zionji glared at Ying'er angrily and walked out. Since this family looked down on her so much, there was no need for her to fight in front of them. She wouldn't do anything that would make her suffer in vain. Are we going to collide or not? Chu Xia muttered, curled her lips, and took Ying'er and Tong Tong upstairs to report the situation to Lin Yangkaiu. Lin Yangkaiu was sitting in the room in a daze. When she saw Chu Xia coming in with the two little guys, she forced a smile and said, Qin Zionji is gone. Let's go. Chu Xia told her the scene just now. When her words fell, Lin Yangkaiu sighed helplessly. This person only has a good life. She insists on messing around, but now she's better. She's comfortable now that she's done with everything. Yes, she thought that others took her seriously, and she came to threaten people. Chu Xia curled her lips as she spoke. She doesn't have the guts to die, and she's still pretending to be Lu Hulin. Who is Lu Hulin? Ying'er asked curiously. Is she very bold? Of course. Chu Xia told Ying'er about Lu Hulin's deeds. The little girl burst into tears. Auntie. The Japanese are so bad. Where are they now? Can you ask uncle to beat them away? Chu Xia rubbed her little head. They have been driven away. They were driven away by Grandpa and the others. They don't dare to bully us anymore. Ying'er had a look of admiration on her face and said, Grandpa is so awesome. Tong Tong didn't quite understand the meaning of the story, but she liked Ying'er, so she followed her example, chirping, Grandpa is so awesome. Brat. What do you know? Lin Yangkaiu hugged the two of them in a funny way. They kissed each other on the forehead and said, Come on, let's go downstairs. Yeah, Ying'er responded cheerfully, with a little excitement on her face. This is the first time Lin Yangkaiu has been so affectionate to her since she came to this home. She is already sensible. This kind of closeness from the heart makes her feel particularly safe. Hesitate for a moment. Chu Xia grabbed Lin Yangkaiu who was walking out and said, Mom, I have something to tell you. Then he rubbed Ying'er's little head and said, Take Tong Tong downstairs first. I'll have a chat with Grandma. The little girl nodded and looked at her eagerly. Auntie and Grandma will come down soon. Well, we'll go down in a while. Hearing what Chu Xia said, Ying'er took Tong Tong's hand with relief and said, Sister Tong Tong, I'll take you down to play. Children should be sensible when adults talk. This child is really different now. After the two little figures disappeared outside the door, Lin Yangkaiu couldn't help but sigh. So, the environment in which children grow up is so important. Iping and Zhongkong Nanping have become what they are today. I really can't blame them entirely. Yes, Chu Xia agreed, and told Lin Yangkaiu about Mei Xiaofeng. In the morning, she wanted to say it, but she didn't have time, and she wanted Liang Xiaohong to speak on her own. But so far, Liang Xiaohong has not told the Zhou family about this. Seeing her sitting there scratching her heart and lungs, Chu Xia was so tired for her. We are all a family, so why bother? Before dinner, she quietly asked Zhou Mikang what to do about this matter. Zhou Mikang meant that she should take time to tell Lin Yangkaiu, or tell Mrs. Zhou. When she responded, Why didn't you say it yourself? Zhou Mikang glared at her and left without saying a word. It's not like her brain is not good, she figured it out after thinking about it for a while. It was her mother who heard this and told her. If Zhou Mikang told her, it would seem that her daughter-in-law didn't regard her as a member of the Zhou family, so she said, the leader of the group, Tongzi, was thinking about her. Originally, she was still thinking about how to find an opportunity, but Qin Zionji came unexpectedly. Just in time, she would have the opportunity to be alone with her mother-in-law. After hearing what she said, Lin Yangkai looked shocked. No wonder your second aunt is always distracted today. When I asked her, she said she didn't have a good rest. This person is really. She usually seems to have a very gentle personality. How could she do this? Such a stupid thing happened. Mom, what are you going to do? Chu Xia looked at her with some anxiety. Will the second aunt hate me if she knows it was me who said it? Well, my mother didn't eavesdrop on purpose, it was the second aunt who kept repeating it at that time. My mother doesn't even want to listen. You kid. Lin Yangkai looked at her angrily. I've been with your parents for so long, and it's not like I don't know what kind of people they are. How could I misunderstand them? Moreover, the fact that your mother can tell this matter shows that she is really close to the Zhou family. I am grateful to her before it is too late. How can I think that she is nosy? Chu Xia had a sarcastic look on her face. Aren't I afraid that the second aunt will think too much? Forget it, since she wants this face, I won't expose her. I'll just listen to you and give her more food suitable for patients. Lin Yangkai sighed and said, look at your second uncle and third uncle's house. My children are not worried, and I feel bad. Back then, if I had enough ability, I couldn't help but take them into my care. Mom. Chu Xia held her hand, not knowing how to persuade her. It's okay, I just suddenly felt a little emotional. I'll discuss it with your grandma later on what to do. If the Mei family knew that Mei Xiaofeng committed suicide, how could they spare Zhonkang? It was a marriage that was not particularly satisfactory to begin with, and if something like this happens again, whether we know it or not, the Mei family will definitely feel that the Zhou family does not value Mei Xiaofeng. To extend it further, the Zhou family does not pay attention to the Mei family. Now that the two families are comrades on the same front, it would be bad if something like that happened. Mom, I know. Just thinking of this, I asked Zhou Mikang if he wanted to say it. Otherwise, I would remain silent. Sometimes it's tiring to pretend you don't know when you know something. It was okay for the two of us and my mother to pretend, but it was really hard for a whole family to pretend. After the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law went downstairs, Liang Xiaohong was no longer in the hall. Mom, where is Xiaohong? Lin Yangkai walked up to Mrs. Zhou and asked in a low voice. She said she had an appointment with a friend to meet in the evening and left in a hurry. Mrs. Zhou frowned, but it looked like she didn't feel right. She was in a panic and asked Mrs. Lu to pack a box of porridge for her. Rice, I said that my friend didn't eat, so she brought some. Hey, Lin Yangkai sighed and told the old lady what Chu Xia had told her. The second daughter-in-law looked so silent and worried. Old Mrs. Zhou also sighed. She didn't think that such a big thing could be hidden for the rest of her life if she could catch it for a while. Even if it is healed, can others see the scars on my wrists? It's easy to cover up in winter, but what about summer? Moreover, what mother is not sharp-eyed? As long as Xiaofeng returns home, it will be impossible to hide this matter. She wants to make the Zhou family and Mei family enmity. Zhou Zhonkang sat beside the hospital bed, looking up from time to look at the intravenous drip. He would push the will that controlled the intravenous drip when he had nothing to do. It seemed that if he didn't do this, he wouldn't be able to relieve his inner guilt. Mei Xiaofeng looked at him funny. I said, as long as you don't say anything about breaking up with me in the future, and don't refuse to forgive others, I won't blame you at all. On the contrary, I still feel that I have earned it. Don't be so nervous, okay? I know you don't blame me, but I blame myself. Zhou Zhonkang said with an annoyed look on his face. You're celebrating the new year, so you have to suffer this. Stop complaining. Mei Xiaofeng interrupted him and emphasized again, it's all over. Let's just think about the good side, okay? Okay. Zhou Zhonkang nodded and took Mei Xiaofeng's hand. I will really listen to you in everything from now on, and I will never hold you back again. How many times have you said this? Mei Xiaofeng looked helpless. I believe you, I really believe it. We have been together for so long, you should know my character. I am in front of you, he never hides himself. Meeting you is the greatest blessing in my life. Since you know that meeting her is the greatest blessing in your life, why do you still put her in the hospital? At the door of the ward, Mei Yitong stood with a gloomy expression. Big brother. Mei Xiaofeng wanted to sit up in a panic. Zhou Zhonkong quickly went to help her. Mei Yitong frowned. Lie down like this, why are you moving around? Brother, why are you here? Mei Xiaofeng stared at him with an uneasy expression. Do my grandparents and my parents all know? If they knew, maybe they would only let me come here. Mei Yitong glared at her, then frowned and looked at Zhou Zhonkong. You don't know how much pressure Xiaofeng endured to marry you. At that time, you said fiercely, this you will treat Xiaofeng as your treasure all your life and never let her suffer any injustice, but in the end, this is what you did. Brother, I'm sorry. Zhou Zhonkong lowered his head with a look of shame on his face. I already know I made a mistake, and I will never make such a bastard mistake again in the future, I promise you. Why should I believe your guarantee? Mei Yitong looked at him coldly. What qualifications do you have to make me believe your guarantee?